Get back to work. We were in the middle of House Bill 1229. Amendment L018 is on the table. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L018. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. You said... Senator Gonzalez, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L018. That's where we were at before. You've requested a no vote on that in previous testimony. Would you like to speak to Amendment L018? Okay. The question before us. All those opposed say no. Amendment L018 is lost. To the bill. Minority Leader Lundin. There's an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L020?
Amendment L020 was
Minority Leader Lundin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment L020 to House Bill 1229.
Minority Leader Lundin, that's a proper motion. To the amendment.
Thank you. So earlier, I was effusive in my praise and gratitude to the bill sponsor for moving some deadlines. There are 5 sections of the bill. She moved 4 of those sections to a July deadline and kept one at January. This simply would move all of the sections to July. It's a simple amendment, and I encourage your support of Amendment L020.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment L020. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. L020 is lost. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us. Minority Leader Lundin.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we had fairly extended debate to the substance of the bill in the course of the discussions of the amendments. I think that this, quite frankly, the bill, should it pass forward, will put a pinch on communities where credit is a challenge and financing may not be available. I would encourage your opposition to House Bill 1229.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brevity being the soul of wit, let me just say that this bill on its face is well-intentioned, but will have the effect of making the access to credit for the people who need it most very, very difficult, and probably take an entire strata of the lending market out of Colorado to the detriment of those very people. You cannot escape the market. No, you cannot escape the market and credit. I urge a no vote.
Senator Gonzalez.
I renew my motion in support of this policy because what we have seen in the aftermath of 2018's passage by 77% from the voters of Colorado of Proposition 111 has been that these bad actor payday lenders in many ways shifted their models to alternative charge loans. They're charging upwards between the APR and the fees that they charge, upwards of 100% interest, 160% interest. How dare we allow these policies to continue, or these types of lending to continue to exist in this state? We opt out and we say to any of the banks that want to operate in the state of Colorado or lend in the state of Colorado, follow Colorado's law. I ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1229.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1229. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. House Bill 1229 is adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee proceed out of order for the consideration of House Bill 1003.
As a proper motion, will the clerk please read the title of the House Bill 1003?
House Bill 1003, Representative Michaelson Janae, Senator Cutter, concerning the creation of the 6th through 12th grade Mental Health Screening Act and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 1003 and the Health and Human Services and Appropriation reports.
That is a proper motion to the Health and Human Services report.
Oh, shoot. One moment. Forgot what I did. Yeah, thank you. Completely forgot what I did in the committee. We worked really hard. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Senator Cutter.
Apologize, thank you. We just tightened up some language about what a guardian is and around the notifications for parents. And let's see. That's basically it. There's just a lot of technical things to tighten up some definitions.
Is there any further discussion on the Health and Human Services Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Health and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Health and Human Services Committee report is adopted. To the Appropriations Committee report, Senator Cutter.
That's right. To the appropriations?
Yes, ma'am.
We just appropriated the necessary funds.
Any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1003 creates a program that allows schools to opt in to providing mental health screenings to students. These screenings would be similar to a vision or hearing exam that we have in schools. The school would simply provide a space, such as a gymnasium or for outside trained screeners to come in and provide the screenings. If the school opts in, parents will be notified and have the option to opt their students out. This bill follows current laws and is just providing additional opportunities for kids to receive therapy if they need it, just the opportunity to talk to someone and proceed with other services if it might be necessary. We really have a problem right now. 17% of Colorado high school students have considered suicide, and 7% have attempted to end their own lives. 7%. Colorado ranks 47th out of 50 states regarding access to mental health care. And 39.6% of youth experienced feelings of depression in the past year. 40% of teachers believe better mental health resources will lead to fewer violent school incidents and shootings. Suicide is now ranked as the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. overall and is the second leading cause of death for children between the ages of 15 and 19 years old. I am excited to present this bill and provide another opportunity for kids just to get the resources they need and hopefully prevent trouble in the class, trouble at home, just help make it a little easier for them. And I ask for your support.
Senator Smallwood, look who it is. Please, talk to us.
Good to see you, Mr. Chair. I wasn't expecting to see you up there. So, colleagues, there's a lot in House Bill 1003, and I want to thank the Senator from Jefferson County, bill sponsor. She has been really open to a number of amendments, both in the Health and Human Services Committee, and we've been talking most of the evening today between the senator herself and other stakeholders and proponents. So I was extremely concerned when I read the introduced version of 1003, and I want to tell you what I came away with and what I think we're going to end up with in policy. And take it one step earlier, I very, very much appreciate the policy. I do. There is no denying that we have a problem, particularly in my county, with suicide of young people. It's this is not make-believe. This is a real issue, and Douglas County sadly is on the bleeding edge of that issue, at least in my opinion. So the fact that the senator from Jefferson County is willing to put the time and energy to consider what I think are real alternatives to so much of the rhetoric that we hear as ways to solve the problem of suicide of young people and what seems to be a rising epidemic of all sorts of mental health and behavioral health issues. I really do want to sincerely commend the bill sponsor, not only for this type of approach in dealing with teen suicide, but also in being willing to have conversations to make the bill, I think, a lot better. So when I saw the bill originally, I panicked, thinking, okay, what we're doing here is we're forcing what is not necessarily qualified mental health, like treatment, therapy, on kids without, not only without parent involvement, but potentially even doing an end around parents, meaning if parents say, I don't want my kid to be part of this, that a young person can then opt themselves out, and then what would be the repercussions of that, and the whole litany of problems that might lead to, like is the person doing this assessment going to be a mandatory reporter, and are they going to go through the steps that a mandatory reporter? But the senator from Jefferson County has literally point by point addressed virtually all of the concerns that I have in this bill, assuming the rest of the amendments that we talked about earlier are going to be adopted. So again, I went from being extremely concerned about 1003 to where now the few concerns that I have are candidly pretty esoteric and pretty minor. So with that, Mr. Chair, what I would like to do is to go through a handful of amendments that I've already discussed with the bill sponsor. I believe that these will all be considered friendly amendments, but I do want to go through them and just talk about how the bill sponsor, the proponents have kind of worked through my issues one by one to make this a much, much better piece of legislation.
There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read? L46.
Amendment L046 by Senator Small would amend the Health and Human Services Committee report dated April 13, 2023, page 2, strike lines 10 through 13, page 2, line 27, strike services.
Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to get my notes in order here.
It's all right. Take your time.
Another senator? So, Amendment 46, I move, first of all, Mr. Chair, Amendment 46.
Proper motion, Senator Smallwood.
Thank you. Amendment 46 goes to page 2 of the Health and Human Services. That's where I was confused. We're amending the Health and Human Services Committee report. There was, I think, just some confusion around when a screener feels that there is an issue of child abuse, what the steps that screener needs to take because they are not a mandatory reporter. If they were a mandatory reporter, it'd be really easy to see exactly the steps that they have to go through. But since they're not a mandatory reporter, we basically said you can either go to or DHS or law enforcement, or use the sort of what I think anonymous hotline. And I think we all agreed that it would be better, since these individuals aren't mandatory reporters and don't have to follow all those steps, just to play it safe, since we're dealing with kids, potentially kids in crisis, is that we would have them go directly to DHS and law enforcement. That's what Amendment 46 does, and would ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption. Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify that this is a friendly amendment, and I urge your support.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of Senate Bill L46 to HB 1003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L46 is adopted.
There's always one. There's always one, Mr. Chair, isn't there?
There's always one.
There's always one. Thank you, colleagues, for that.
There is
I
an amendment
move-
at the desk. Will the clerk please read L47?
Amendment L047.
Smallwood.
Thank you very much. See, that made up for the last one. How much faster? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment 47.
Proper motion, Senator Smallwood.
Colleagues, Amendment 47 is pretty simple. On page 5, line 26, to clarify things, there was a requirement that each participating public school publish on its website the mental health screening assessment form or other document provided to students. It's technically not an assessment form, it's a questionnaire. So we're only changing one word from assessment to questionnaire, and would ask for your aye vote.
Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is a friendly amendment, and I would ask for your support.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of L47. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L47 is adopted. There is a member of the desk. Will the clerk please read? L60.
Amendment
Senator
L060.
Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment 60.
To Amendment 60, Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, so Amendment 60 is critical in addressing what I think is far and away the biggest concern that the vocal opponents had about this bill. And quite honestly, colleagues, if there are folks in this chamber that were on the fence wondering whether or not they should vote for and support the bill, this may be the reason why you end up supporting the bill, end up voting yes for the bill. Because what I had heard from the opponents, from the detractors, was far and away the biggest concern that they had in this bill was that there was some language, advertent or inadvertent, I don't know, but the wording basically said that, here's kind of the process. Schools that wanted to do this assessment would, first of all, state that they want to do the assessment. If they did want to do the assessment, they would put out a notice within a couple of weeks to parents saying, hey, we are going to do a mental health assessment at our school. This is when we're going to do it. This is who's going to do it. This is what they're going to be assessing. Here's how the results are going to be communicated to you. And you would have the ability to opt out as a parent if you wanted to opt out. But there was some language in there that said that a child who was 12 or older, if the parent did want their child opted out, the child 12 or older would potentially be able to opt themselves back in. And that is the single issue that so many of the emails, far and away, probably 95% of the emails and phone calls, the in-person meetings that I had in my office concerning this bill were all about that one small part. It wasn't about whether or not we should be assessing children or communicating to DHS or law enforcement if there were issue, or communicating to mental health professionals or the parent if there was a risk of suicide, harm to others, right? Everybody, I think, thought that these are really, really good things and solid steps to addressing the epidemic of suicide of young people in our state. They had concerns about nothing other than that small piece that said, once parents say, look, for whatever reason, I don't want my kid to go through an assessment, that child could go back through. And Amendment 60 just changes that. Once a parent says that I want my child to be opted out of this, then that's the end of the story at that point in time, and the assessment would then continue for other folks who didn't opt their children out. So some compelling testimony in committee, first of all, drove me to want to have conversations about this amendment, but it's not radical at all for a school to assess our kids. We've done. I mean, I remember as a kid, I was assessed for scoliosis. I had a hearing test. I had aptitude tests. Right. So there were plenty of things that the school did then. And granted, this was a gazillion years ago, but my parents certainly didn't think them controversial for me to have a hearing test in grade school or a scoliosis test. Now, if they did have a problem with it, I'm sure they could have opted out, but it didn't raise anybody's blood pressure at the time for the school to do some reasonable level of broad-based assessments, screenings, checks on kids. So with Amendment 60, knowing now that if a parent, again, because we don't know what's going on in a family, if a parent really, truly wants their child to be opted out of this, that will happen. I think it's a fantastic amendment. I can't express how grateful I am to the bill sponsor and to the proponents for considering this a friendly amendment. And I think what you're going to see is the temperature dial turned down tremendously from folks who were very, very concerned about House Bill 1003 to potentially now folks saying, you know what, this is actually a pretty good bill. It doesn't seem that different to what we've been doing historically when it comes to taking care of our kids. And let's face it, 2023 is different than 1973. We do have issues now that we didn't have before. So I would hope for your support and your aye vote on Amendment 60.
Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the good senator from Parker and working with us on this amendment. And the fact that he's speaks so eloquently about the need for this program, and I would ask for your support on the amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of L60. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and L60 is adopted. Senator Van Winkle, there is an amendment at that desk. Will the clerk please read? L62.
Amendment
Senator Van
L060.
Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, the previous amendment ensures
Please
that
move the
parents...
amendment, Senator Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L062.
Proper motion. Tell us about that previous amendment.
The previous amendment ensures that parents are allowed to opt their children out if they would like to. What this amendment does is ensures that those parents have at least 2 weeks' notice and at least 2 weeks to opt their child out if they have to. This just ensures that the opt-out option doesn't go out, the night before or the day before, or even the week before. But there'll be 2 weeks for parents. They get an email or notification saying this is happening in a couple weeks. If you'd like to opt your child out, here you go.
Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for this amendment as well. This makes perfect sense, and I'm happy to support it, so ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of L62. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. L62 is adopted. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1003. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1003 is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just joking with you. He's not here. We'll take a Mr. Assistant Majority Leader. Senator 5. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until Monday, May 1st.
The motion is lay over the balance of the... The motion is to lay over the balance of the calendar until Monday, May 1st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we'll lay over the balance of the calendar until Monday, May 1st. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will rise and report. The Senate will come to order. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Ms. Cole, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations are on. Senate Bill 263, Senate Bill 286 is amended, Senate Bill 292 is amended, Senate Bill 297, Senate Bill 295 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Concurrent Resolution 1001 is amended, House Bill 1019 is amended, House Bill 1205 is amended, House Bill 1182 is amended, House Bill 1061, House Bill 1074 is amended, House Bill 1105 is amended, House Bill 1161 is amended, House Bill 1184, House Bill 1227 is amended, House Bill 1243, House Bill 1231 is amended, House Bill 1272 is amended, House Bill 1261, House Bill 1181 is amended, House Bill 1102, House Bill 1262, House Bill 1229 is amended, House Bill 1003 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bills 1120 and 1233 laid over until Monday, May 1st, 2023, and retaining their place on the calendar.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
There is an amendment of the desk. Will the clerk please read 001 to Senate Bill 286?
Amendment Cow 001 to
Senator
Senate Bill.
Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I move Cow 001 to Senate Bill 286.
It's a proper motion. Members, we are discussing an amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Let's make sure we have some decorum. Proper motion, Senator Kirkmeyer. Please tell us about the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to remind everyone, Senate Bill 286, the title is Access to Government Records. Amendment 001 to 286 says essentially that quadratic voting conducted by members of the General Assembly, the results of quadratic voting conducted by members of the General Assembly is not work product. Members, it's important that we keep the public's trust. We don't need headlines that say a secret ballot system at Colorado State House is quietly killing bills and raising transparency concerns. We don't need headlines that say secret ballot system at Colorado Capitol violates spirit and letter of sunshine law. The reality is this: when you are all casting a vote, whether you do that in person or electronically, your constituents have the right to know how you are voting. When you are coming together as a caucus, whether you do that in person or electronically to vote, that is considered an open meeting under the law. Open meeting laws bar the use of secret ballots. You are excluding the public from your caucus meeting, essentially. The results of that voting are not work product. They are open records, and they are subject to the Open Records Act. So again, basically what this says is the results of the quadratic voting that y'all were doing, conducted by members of the General Assembly, is not work product. I urge an aye vote on Cow Amendment L001.
Senator Finberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I urge a no vote.
Very well. The question before the body is the adoption of Amendment 001 to Senate Bill 286. Mr. Minority Leader.
I just wanted to be clear with my caucus. I was just thinking Claire de Lune, the Song of the Moon that I was sharing as the end of session song I would prefer. So that's why I sputtered out Claire. If you have multiple votes and the votes you're casting with regard to this Cow Amendment extend an increase in value with each vote, and you want to give a complete support of this Cow amendment, you can only vote once, because if you start voting multiple times, it diminishes the value of your vote. So concentrate your vote in this quadratic formula that I'm basically arguing on behalf, and vote only in favor of the amendment once. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, Pro Chair Tim.
Will the clerk, Zoe, please excuse Senators Mullica and Hansen? The question for the body is the adoption of Amendment 001 to Senate Bill 286. Are there any no votes? Senators? Hold on, hands down. I mean, you can keep them up, but. Okay, now we're ready. No votes on 001 to Senate Bill 286. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Rodriguez, Fields, Finberg, Bridges, Priola, Winter, Gonzalez, Jaquez Lewis, Cutter, Henriksen, Marchman, Buckner, Zenzinger, Sullivan, Exum, Roberts, Janal. Please add the president. The vote of 12 ayes, 11 ayes, 19 noes, 0 absent, and 5 excused. 001 to 286 is lost. The question before the body is the adoption of the committee of whole report. Are there any no votes? Senators Van Winkle, Baisley. With a vote of 28 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, and 5 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 263, 286 is amended, 292 is amended, 297, 295 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. HCR 1001 is amended, House Bill 1019 is amended, 1205 is amended, 1182 is amended, 1061, 1074 is amended, 1105 as amended, 1161 is amended, 1184, 1227 as amended, 1243, 1231 is amended, 1272 is amended, 1261, 1181 is amended, 1102, 1262, 1229 is amended, 1003 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1120 and 1233 laid over until 5/1/2023 and retaining their place on the calendar. Message from the governor.
Friday, April 14, 2023, Colorado Senate. Honorable members of the Colorado Senate, pursuant to the authority vested in the office of the Governor of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following acts. Senate Bill 188, Protections for Accessing Reproductive Health Care, approved on Friday, April 14, 2023 at 2:05 p.m. Senate Bill 189, Increasing Access to Reproductive Health Care, approved on Friday, April 14, 2023 at 2:05 p.m. Senate Bill 190, Deceptive Trade Practice Pregnancy-Related Service, approved on Friday, April 14, 2023 at 2:05 p.m. Sincerely, Jared Polis, Governor. Friday, April 28, 2023, Colorado Senate. Honorable members of the Colorado Senate, pursuant to the authority vested in the office of the Governor of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following act. Senate Bill 74, Sunset Modify Human Trafficking Prevention Training, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Senate Bill 85, Sunset Continuous Sexual Misconduct Advisory Committee, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Senate Bill 152, Sunset Continued Custom Processing Meat Animals, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Senate Bill 154, Sunset Continued Veterans One Stop Center, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Senate Bill 168, Gun Violence Victims Access to Judicial System, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Senate Bill 169, Increasing Minimum Age to Purchase Firearms, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Senate Bill 170, Extreme Risk Protection Order Petitions, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Senate Bill 250, Transfer from Service Tax Operations Cash Fund, approved on Friday, April 28, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. Sincerely, Jared Polis, Governor.
Members, announcements. Will the Senate choir please assemble to wish a happy birthday? to members with birthdays over the interim that have not been celebrated. Senator Fields, come down to the well. Senator Fields, come down to the well. Also, Senator Kirkmeyer. Senator Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer. Kirkmeyer, come down to the well. Senator Lundeen. Senator Lundeen, come down. Senator Cutter. Senator Cutter. Senator Priola. Priola. Senator Will. May the good Lord bless you, Senator Will. Senator Sullivan. Senator Exum. Senator Hansen is not here. Senator Rodriguez. Wow. Senator Roberts. Senator Mullica. And Senator Coleman.
Birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday everybody here, happy birthday to you. May the dear Lord bless you all, shower graces on you all, may the dear Lord bless you all, may the dear Lord bless you.
Yay! Any further announcements? Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real announcement. Appropriations Committee, 8:45 a.m. on Monday, as scheduled. The bills, the canary sheet should be on your desks. See you bright and early on Monday.
Senator Gardner.
I just want to announce that we could have been done today.
Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's the 556th Friday since my son Alex was murdered in the Aurora Theater massacre. 8 years ago, I was on day 2 of the 4-month trial of my son's killer. He was eventually convicted of 12 life sentences, one for each of the people he killed, an additional 3,318 years. I have on my desk one of the tissue boxes that covered the floor of the courtroom that I took with me on that final day on August the 26th, 2015. It's a reminder to me of the grief and the emotion that we had to subdue every single day so that our tears wouldn't influence the jurors each and every day. You can go ahead and take a tissue out of there. It's not that big of a deal, but that's why I have it there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Sullivan. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Seeing no further announcements, I move that the Senate adjourn until Monday, May 1st at 10 a.m.
You've heard the motion. This is not the House. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday, May 1st, 2023.